What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York. We are outside Trans Pecos in Queens, New York, and we are here with Endless. It is great to be able to talk with all of you today. Thank you for being here.
We're stoked. Thank
Yeah,
you.
man.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Nobody is more stoked than I am to be able to talk with you guys tonight. I wanted to, first thing is always first, because the last thing that we heard is Lapse, The Guilt We Hold. It's still a fantastic EP, and I cannot wait to hear more. Is this maybe a good representation of, like, the direction that Endless is going to be going into in the future, or are you going to maybe experiment a little bit more with the upcoming stuff?
I mean, we got a 3-song EP coming out, and it's I guess like we got like 2 of probably our heaviest songs, I'd say, thus far.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we have like a curveball song in it. I've been told it sounds like modern baseball with like screams and on it or something. I don't know.
Probably not that far off, but like
Midwest.
I feel like even with the first 2, there's still like one curveball-ish like track, like
Absolutely.
like from Etherhead Kindling, Lapse has Thorns. Like
Thorns,
there's still something that's like a little less dark and a little more like upbeat and catchy.
100%.
Earworms.
Yeah.
With the formation of the band, because you've all been involved in numerous projects, just to name a few, from Godmaker to the Phantom Eye and so many other bands, were you all trying to maybe combine your previous efforts into one band and kind of like, join forces in a way, or were you all trying to explore territory that you haven't necessarily been involved in musically before?
I'd go with that one. Yeah, because I mean, this is the like I hate to say it, like softest band I've ever been in before. I'd say like it's definitely the most I don't know, non-metal adjacent band I've been in. I'd say, yeah.
For me, in a while, yeah, because like I was doing like noise rock and stuff like that for a little while, but like, like Dan and Brett and Scott have history playing in bands together, and Pete and I have as well, and I don't know if it was like a joint forces thing, but like me, Brett, Scott, and Dan have known each other for probably just outside of high school with you guys, yeah.
I was asked to join the band during the recording of Lapse. I did a vocal spot on the song, and after that, they pulled me aside and asked me if I would be in the band and play guitar and sing, and I was like, yeah, totally.
Yeah. When it comes to like the songwriting aspect, this question I kind of have like individual questions for each of you. Now I'll start with you, Dan. But lyrically, because I'll never forget the first time I saw Endless, you come in with that like epic intro where there's like a lot of dialogue incorporated in there. Yeah. So do you think on a conceptual level, do lyrics maybe help guide the sound in a way?
So I work in reverse from that, because like a lot of people, I guess, write their lyrics beforehand, but like I don't know, they always just send me like tracks, like of everything they do or an idea that they do, and I mull it over, like spend a couple days on it, and then I guess whatever ultimately I feel mood wise that the song conveys, I'll just start writing I guess lyrics that make sense to me for what I feel from the music that they write.
Pete, a question I have for you is, this is somebody who has seen you both with Godmaker and the Phantom Eye. Those consist of like very raw riffing styles. Like I've compared your music to Sleep, Neurosis, I Hate God, whatnot. But this is like, notice like, there's plenty of distortion and heaviness, but there's also like a lot of clean melodic aspects behind it. Are you like expressing maybe with your guitar and your instrument a different side of yourself than maybe what you've done in your previous projects?
This stuff has definitely allowed me to stretch out, and really experiment, because, like, if you saw Godmaker, I didn't use a lot of pedals, there was no board. It was him who had the space board.
Yeah, I thought maybe he took them all from you, and that's why you didn't have any.
But no, he actually turned me into the monster that I am today with all of the effects and stuff like that. And with Phantom Eye, I was kind of forced to learn how to use them, because like they were kind of a thing before I joined, and I was like and after that, I joined Endless.
Mm-hmm. And Archie, a question I have for you with your approach to bass playing, because, we all hear our fair share of bass player jokes. I'm sure you in particular have heard plenty.
My whole life, yeah, basically.
But it's such an important instrument, despite what your bandmates say, because it has an emphasis on both rhythm and melody. So when you're writing bass parts, are you looking at the rhythm section of the band, or are you kind of following along with the melody that we hear in the guitars?
It's a bit of a mixed bag. I think our first EP, I took more chances and got a little bit weirder, but it also, at that time, we didn't have Pete. Everything was kind of written as a 4-piece, so I was able to kind of branch out a little bit. With Lapse, I was able to do some of the more adventurous things I did from Ether, but I was able to like mostly sprinkle them in and kind of take a backseat and kind of fill everything out, just because we have so much other stuff going on with like Scott's playing Pete, and then also all of the production tracks that we run live and stuff like that. Like there's a big emphasis on that, so like that adds a lot more melody and dynamic, and it allows me to be more of a bass player, and when I have the opportunity to do something a little bit different than I do.
Now, Dan, the question I have for you is, I not only do I enjoy the music and the vocals, but watching you perform is quite unique, especially for this style, because, and not to genre, pigeonhole and all, but like to have this sort of like post or this black metal style, a lot of the times the frontman tends to be more, and I don't say negatively, but is more static and like kind of more atmospheric with the band, but the way that you move is like what I would see at like a Sick of It All show or like a hardcore show. So are you like bringing in some hardcore elements? Is that kind of like your background that you instinctively use as a frontman?
That's like the only way I really know how to move. It's kind of, I mean, it's pretty funny. Like I grew up in like the the metalcore hardcore scene in New Jersey, like Central Jersey. You got nothing to do, you're in a band, or you play sports, so but yeah, I mean, that was kind of like growing up and watching like bands like Cold World and like Trapped Under Ice and like all those, that different like the very like showmanship, I guess, of like the front man and all that stuff, a lot of crowd participation. I think I just kind of try and harness that as best as I can, and I guess like in a positive way it kind of affected us, where it's like, oh, we wouldn't expect, like what you said, you're not expecting me to run around and do all that stuff because like you're listening to like the lyrical content, you figure it's gonna be more like moody kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like if I didn't do it I'd just fucking explode, so like so I'm not really or shit my pants on stage or something.
So no Smashing Pumpkins like stage presence.
No,
and definitely no G.G. Allen.
We did, I mean, we did try that one practice once, like I was just like, let me just try and like hold the mic like I was on the stand the whole time.
Yeah, you looked
and like my leg was like shaking, like I was like someone like just like
well, no, I'll give you one better. When we did the Mortal Coil video and we had you have a mic stand, and I remember we're like hey, you have to keep this in one position. He's like, okay, cool, and just kicked it across the stage when we were filming. We're like that wasn't what was supposed to happen, but
like a literal child.
Well, I always thought that Endless is much of a visual experience as well as it is as a sonic experience. The image of the band and this sort of like, this, I see so many colors. Maybe it's just from looking at the Endless, looking at the artwork for Laps or something like that. But is there also like a visual experience that you're trying to convey? Is there something that you're all seeing, like maybe a synesthesia-like element or something like that?
I think that's Brett and Scott. I mean, they have a very, very big thing about that. Like Scott's a graphic designer and Brett shoots videos, and he's obsessed with film. So it's going to translate well over to the band, and we try to be as tasteful as we can and stuff. But we all like the colors and, how we play off of it. And
yeah.
It's a theme.
When it comes to the stage presence of how you play instrumentally or vocally, is stage presence or crowd interaction or whatnot, is that actually something you could practice or rehearse for? Or is that just something that kind of like happens as you play more and more?
I never say like we would rehearse. That would be fucking weird. But like this is the part where you're gonna do this. No,
I like stage move practice though.
But you know what it is though, man. Like I feel like especially like when we play now that we're kind of like we're like kind of getting into our rhythm and whatnot. Like we're not like a young, like we've never been a young band, but like we're not like a new band anymore. I feel like when we get to shows now, it's much more of like a social kind of thing. So like we'll be talking to people in the crowd and be like beforehand, like just talking to other bands. So I feel like we just build like a nice positive rapport, as we should. Like our music is very positive, so I feel like that kind of resonates with everything else, and it just kind of all comes together, culminates as one like nice movement.
That's how I describe all of the bands you've been in: positive music for miserable people.
Yeah, exactly.
Maximum Bummer.
Yep. Maximum Bummer. Yeah. Did you just accidentally leak the album name?
No, I wish. That's Pete and I have been saying that one for a while. Well,
we don't even have an album name yet.
No, we don't have an album name yet. We're still working that out.
I can't wait to see what that might
We have
be.
track names, but we're still working out album art.
Songs right after we're done.
Yeah.
Please, and then I'll mention them in like the description of the video and completely.
A couple of the newer ones we've been playing live for a couple of months, like kind of testing it out a little bit and seeing how it fits.
The last two songs of this set are brand new.
Well, I've noticed so many different vibes. Like when you compare like a track like "Sun Poisoning" to "Thorns" to like "The Guilt We Hold," in a way, like every song really does have its own emotional aspect. Are these songs more or less reflections of who all of you are at that particular time? Maybe an emotion you were all feeling, or is "Endless" more of an escapism for you, where you don't really want to bring too much of your own personal experience into it?
First record was escapism, 100%. I'd say, at least, like, I mean, I can speak for myself.
Mhm.
I don't know if I can speak for you, but first record was, and I guess it was really strange because like it was a whole record about like, you know, just focusing on like the absolute most bright shit possible, and then the fucking pandemic happened, and it was just everyone that was like a lot of positive, you know, getting the ball rolling like positively for us at least. People were like, I listen to Kindling like every day, this and that, so that was really nice. And I'd say definitely the chaos that was writing Laps, The Guilt We Hold, like it was a shit show. So like I think that like a lot of us were kind of getting to the point where we were a little frustrated.
Scott was starting to look like Doc from Back to the Future by the time we were done.
100%.
Like
He had
he and I were in the studio like every day demoing stuff, and I think like every like hour his hair would just get higher and higher.
Wow, you guys could have been like Static X.
Yeah,
But, like,
dude, Scott's
And then we went and recorded, and it was like in the middle of a snowstorm.
like
It was that
the song
we were doing
Laps, it
was in the middle of a
literally
blizzard.
an 18-hour song. It was Scott up all night on mushrooms, wrote the song, hit me up. I left work in a snowstorm, did it, and then we were in the studio like the next.
I went to North Carolina. We weren't even done with the whole record, and I was like,
Yeah, he
we
was
have
like bombing us like every day.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Looking like-
Where are we going? Are we done?
Dude, yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But yeah, definitely. First one escapism. Second one overall emotion.
I normally don't ask like, oh, what does the record name mean? But with The Guilt We Hold, is that representative of guilt that you five were maybe experiencing, or is it like the guilt that we as humans hold? Because I think every human has like a guilty conscience of some sort. So like, is it maybe representative with humanity as a whole?
I mean, I think like. So it was definitely like. At least personally, the reason why I said The Guilt We Hold, it was very like a lot of those songs are about like giving time to just negative, whether it be people, experiences, or, you know, anything in between, and like letting it consume you. That was like just the one thing that I was like, oh, I let that get the best of me, and like that's kind of like the never again kind of aspect to it. But I assume like everybody who listens to, well, I mean, just any kind of sad music, you know, can definitely resonate with like letting something consume them. So I guess like as a whole, I'd say universally, like humanity.
And I have two more questions for y'all. I think instrumentally, too, the music is, for lack of better words, very experimental because, you know, there are parts that are very heavy, but there are parts that are very clean. You know, Pete, you discovered the miracle of guitar pedals with this. So, like, is it fair to say that maybe, like, experimenting with your sound and trying different either noises or effects or melodies is maybe almost part of the songwriting process for Endless?
There's a decent amount of it. Just like Scott's brain works in a completely different way than the rest of us too. Like you know, like music is his hobby, like 100%. And like even the other night we were at the studio, like after practice, and he's like just like showing us stuff that he's been working on. It's like, you know, we all have similar musical interests, but we also have a lot of differing ones too. So everybody kind of gets to bring that in. And what ends up happening is that's how you get like songs like Laps, and you get like the drastic difference between like Guilt We Hold and Thorns, because like Thorns was something that I brought to the band, and it was just like it was funny. It was while we were recording from Ether, but like demoing stuff for Laps, and it was just like I apparently at 3 a.m. decided to write a comeback, my best attempt at a Comeback Kid song.
Mm-hmm.
Is really how that first demo came out, and like I brought that, but then like Sun Poisoning and things like that, and those songs. And what's interesting for us is like we spend so much time demoing and doing pre-production and stuff like that, that by the time the record comes out, we see just how much it's also changed. So like we allow things to kind of morph and evolve as they need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You want to add anything, Pete?
Oh no, I just wanted to say that Scott's the genius, you know, behind most of the songwriting. Like he's immense.
Yeah.
And he's got a really great sense of melody, and Brett is really good with his production stuff too as well. And they're a force to be reckoned with, and I'm glad I'm on their side.
Definitely. And the final question I have is kind of like the silliest one, and I want all three of you to answer this one because I've showed Endless to plenty of people, and a lot of people say this is really good post-black metal. That word, to this day, drives me fucking crazy. and I want to know what that means, because I've heard the term post-hardcore, I've heard post-rock, I've heard post-death metal, post-black metal, post-metalcore. What the hell does that word post mean? Is it is their record label the Postal Service? Like what?
I feel like it's like somebody just puts that in front of it to be like, oh, this is the evolution of this genre, but we don't know really what to name it, because like before, like calling it like post black metal, it was like everybody calling it shoegaze black metal with like bands like Alcest and Deaf Heaven, and
Black Gaze or something.
yeah,
like that.
or like Celeste and bands like that, like where it's like it's not completely doom and gloom, and there's a lot more like ambience behind it. So like, I'll take whatever anybody wants to call us. I'm grateful for it. It's like if you find like a verb or an adjective or a noun that describes us, like go for it, man. Like you can tell me you sound like a panda. That's dope. Like whatever.
All right, what's your take on post?
They put out really good cereal.
That's the line of the interview. We got to wrap this up. Here, just give me a quick answer or see if you can top that.
I can't top that, but I mean, I don't know. I think putting post in front of everything is kind of like, I don't know, maybe the less aggressive version. Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's like
hardcore compared to hardcore is like clearly less in your face. Maybe like
Yeah.
more emotive or emotive, whatever. how
Yeah,
you
it's
pronounce
like
that. And
this is what happens after hardcore. What does
Yeah,
that? What does
yeah,
that
yeah.
mean though?
I think post-hardcore is more in your face. I consider Glassjaw Poison. Well, like, I mean, I would go to like a bar like Niagara or Double Down Saloon and hear them play Cro-Mags, and it's just like elevator music to me. Not to say that hardcore isn't heavy and brutal, but like it's
Harley, I hope you
just as
didn't hear
good
that.
background music. So.
no. 100%. I mean, I get you. I get what you're saying. I mean, yeah. Again, like I think our most of us, I think our hero bands are more in the realm of post-hardcore. Like if you ask him, for instance, like, who you taking, like Dead Guy or Cro-Mags, he's probably gonna say Dead Guy.
I'm taking Dead Guy all day.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, that's a hard one.
I mean, like
Age of Quarrel is
well.
like
Let me
All
just.
right, I'll give you Madball or Dead Guy.
Oh, Dead Guy.
Okay, there we go.
So there you go. Like just like a hardcore band versus something more chaotic or spastic. I feel like a lot of folks would maybe consider that would be like post. I don't know. That's my.
So before we go, I want to thank all of you so much for your time, and most
Thanks,
of
bro.
all, thank you for this amazing music that you've been giving us. I can't wait to hear more. Is there just anything else that you guys would like to promote with the release of more music on the horizon? Or
I mean, a lot of it's like keep an eye on our socials right now. Like, we put the finishing touches on the record, so now we're like putting everything together to put it out. And
Shout out to Timber Studios.
yeah, Adam Chachaki at Timber has been good to us for the last 3 records and has kind of helped us like pull our sound together, and it's been a joy to work with. But like, we just appreciate everybody listening to us. We started this band at a very, very strange time in the world for everybody, and like the fact that like 2 years went by, we put 2 records out, and people were paying attention and then started showing up. Like, we're grateful for it.
grateful to have you, and for the whole scene too. Like to be in the same scene as you guys, and So Hideous and so on. It's New York is New Jersey as well as where it's at. So thank you guys.
Thank you, bro.
Everybody, we are here with Endless. New stuff coming very soon. This is Alex from Heaven, New York. Next time, everybody.